Good morning, friends. Happy Saturday. Y'all, I slept for 13 and a half hours. I went to bed at 6:30 last night. By like 7 o'clock, I was asleep. Shortly after 7. And I didn't get up until like 8:40. And I slept the whole time. So I feel a lot better today. I took some Tylenol or something, ibuprofen when I got up this morning because I slept so long that my head was still hurting and my back was hurting because I was in bed way too long. But I am feeling a lot better this morning. I have a little bit more. I just had my coffee, so I got a burst of coffee energy right now. So I said, okay, I got to use up that coffee energy and go downstairs and walk. So, sorry I'm a little late, but Mama needed some sleep, girl. I need some sleep. All right, day 134, May 22nd. Solomon builds his palace. 1 Kings 7, 1 through 12. Solomon also built a palace for himself, and it took him 13 years to complete the construction. One of Solomon's buildings was called the Palace of the Forest of Lebanon. It was 150 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. There were 4 rows of cedar pillars, and great cedar beams rested on the pillars. The hall had a cedar roof. Above the beams on the pillars were 45 side rooms, arranged in 3 tiers of 15 each. On each end of the long hall were 3 rows of windows facing each other. All the doors and doorposts had rectangular frames and were arranged in sets of 3 facing each other. Solomon also built the Hall of Pillars, which was 75 feet long and 45 feet wide. There was a front porch in it, along with a canopy supported by pillars. Solomon also built the throne room, known as the Hall of Justice, where he sat to hear legal matters. It was paneled with cedar from floor to ceiling. Solomon's living quarters, surrounded by a courtyard. I lost my place. I looked at the phone for a second and I lost my place. Hold on. Solomon's living quarters surrounded a courtyard behind this hall, and they were constructed the same way. He also built a similar living quarter for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had married. From the foundations to the eaves, all these buildings were built from huge blocks of high-quality stone, cut with saws and trimmed to exact measures on all sides. Some of the huge foundation stones were 15 feet long, and some were 12 feet long. The blocks of high-quality stone were used in the walls were also cut to measure, and cedar beams were also used. The walls of the great courtyard were built so that there was 1 layer of cedar beams between each 3 layers of finished stone, just like the walls of the inner courtyard of the Lord's temple with its entry room. Sounds gorgeous. Furnishings for the temple, 1 Kings 7, 13 through 51. King Solomon then asked for a man named Hiram to come from Tyre. He was half Israelite, since his mother was a widow from the tribe of Naphtali, and his father had been a craftsman in bronze from Tyre. Hiram was extremely skillful and talented in any work in bronze, and he came to do all the metal work for King Solomon. Hiram cast 2 bronze pillars, each 27 feet tall and 18 feet in circumference. For the tops of those pillars he cast bronze capitals, each 7.5 feet tall. Each capital was decorated with 7 sets of latticework and interwoven chains. He also encircled the latticework with 2 rows of pomegranates to decorate the capitals over the pillars. The capitals on the columns inside the entry room were shaped like water lilies, and they were 6 feet tall. The capitals on the 2 pillars had 200 pomegranates in 2 rows around them, besides the rounded surface next to the latticework. Hiram set the pillars at the entrance of the temple, one toward the south and one toward the north. He named the one in the south Jachin, and the one in the north Boaz. The capitals on the pillars were shaped like water lilies, and so the work of the pillars was finished. Then Hiram cast a great round basin, 15 feet across from rim to rim, called the sea. It was 7.5 feet deep and about 45 feet in circumference. It was encircled just below its rims by 2 rows of decorative gourds. There were about 6 gourds per foot all the way around, and they were cast as part of the basin. The sea was placed on a base of 12 bronze oxen, all facing outward. The three faced north, three faced west, three faced south, and three faced east, and the sea rested on them. The walls of the sea were about 3 inches thick, and its rim flared out like a cup and resembled a water lily blossom. It could hold about 11,000 gallons of water. Hiram also made 10 bronze water carts, each 6 feet long, 6 feet wide, and 4.5 feet tall. They were constructed with side panels braced with crossbars. Both the panels and the crossbars were decorated with carved lions, oxen, and cherubim. Above and below the lions and oxen were wreath decorations. Each of these carts had 4 bronze wheels and bronze axles. There were supporting posts for the bronze basins at the corner of the carts. These supports were decorated on each side with carvings of wreaths. The top of each cart had a rounded frame for the basin. It projected 1.5 feet above the cart's top like round pedestals, and its opening was 2.25 feet across, and it was decorated on the outside with carvings of wreaths. The panels of the carts were square, not round. Under the panels were 4 wheels that were connected to axles that had been cast one unit with the cart. As one unit with the cart. The wheels were 2.25 feet in diameter. They were similar to chariot wheels. The axle, spokes, rims, and hubs were all cast from molten bronze. There were handles at each of the 4 corners of the cart, and these too were cast on one unit and these two were cast as one unit with the cart. Around the top of each cart was a rim 9 inches wide. The corner supports and side panels were cast as one unit with the cart. Carvings of cherubims, lions, and palm trees decorated the panels and corner supports wherever there was room, and there were wreaths all around. All 10 water carts were the same size and were made alike, for each was cast from the same mold. Hiram also made 10 smaller bronze basins, one for each cart. Each basin was 6 feet across and could hold 220 gallons of water. He set 5 water carts on the south side of the temple and 5 on the north side. The great bronze basin called the sea was placed near the southeast corner of the temple. He also made the necessary wash basins, shovels, and bowls. So at last Hiram completed everything King Solomon had assigned him to make for the temple of the Lord. The 2 pillars, the 2 bowl-shaped capitals on top of the pillars, the 2 networks of interwoven chains that decorated the capitals, the 400 pomegranates that hung from the chains on the capitals, 2 rows of pomegranates for each of the chain network that decorated the capitals on top of the pillars, the 10 water carts holding 10 basins, the sea and the 12 oxen under it, the ash buckets, the shovels, and the bowls. Hiram made all those things of burnished bronze for the temple of the Lord, just as King Solomon had directed. The king had them cast in clay molds in the Jordan Valley between Succoth and Zarethan. Solomon did not weigh all of these things because there were so many. The weight of the bronze could not be measured. Solomon also made all the furnishings of the temple of the Lord: the gold altar, the gold table for the bread of the presence, the lampstand of solid gold, 5 on the south and 5 on the north in the most holy place, the flower decorations, the lamps, the tongs, all of gold, the small bowls, lamp snuffers, bowls, ladles, and incense burners, all of solid gold, the doors of the entrance to the most holy place, and the main room of the temple with their fronts overlaid in gold. So King Solomon finished all of his work on the temple of the Lord. Then he brought all the gifts his father David had dedicated, the silver, the gold, and the various articles, and he stored them in the treasuries of the Lord's temple. Okay, so now we're going to go to 2 Chronicles 3:15 through 4:22 and read all of that again. For the front of the temple, he made 2 pillars that were 27 feet tall, each topped by a capital extending upward another 7.5 feet. He made a network of interwoven chains and used them to decorate the tops of the pillars. He also made 100 decorative pomegranates and attached them to the chains. Then he set up the 2 pillars at the entrance of the temple, one to the south of the entrance and the other to the north. He named the one on the south Jachin and the one on the north Boaz. Solomon also made a bronze altar 30 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 15 feet high. Then he cast a great round basin 15 feet across from rim to rim and called it the sea. It was 7.5 feet deep and about 45 feet in circumference. It was encircled just below its rims by 2 rows of figures that resembled oxen. There were about 6 oxen per foot all the way around, and they were cast as part of the basin. The sea was placed on a base of 12 bronze oxen, all facing outward. The 3 faced north, and 3 faced west, 3 faced south, and 3 faced east, and the sea rested on them. The walls of the sea were about 3 inches thick, and its rims flared out like a cup and resembled a water lily blossom. It could hold about 16,500 gallons of water. He also made 10 smaller basins for washing the utensils for burnt offerings. He set 5 on the south side, and 5 on the north. But the priests washed themselves in the sea. He then cast 10 gold lampstands, according to the specifications that had been given, and he put them in the temple. 5 were placed against the south wall, and 5 were placed against the north wall. He also built 10 tables and placed them in the temple, 5 along the south wall and 5 along the north wall. Then he molded 100 gold basins. He then built a courtyard for the priests, and also the large outer courtyard. He made the doors of the courtyard entrances and overlaid them with bronze. The great bronze basin called the Sea was placed near the southeast corner of the temple. Huram Abi also made the necessary wash basins, shovels, and bowls. So at last Huram Abi completed everything King Solomon had assigned to him to make for the temple of God. The 2 pillars, the 2 bowl-shaped capitals on top of the pillars, the 2 networks of interwoven chains that decorated the capitals, the 400 pomegranates that hung from the chains on the capitals, 2 rows of pomegranates for each of the chain networks that decorated the capitals on top of the pillars, the water cart holding basins, the sea and the 12 oxen under it, the ash buckets, the shovels, the meat hooks, and all the related articles. Huram Abi also made all these things of burnished bronze for the temple of the Lord, just as King Solomon had directed. The king had them cast in clay molds in the Jordan Valley between Succoth and Zarethan. Solomon used such great quantities of bronze that its weight could not be determined. Solomon also made all the furnishings for the temple of God, the gold altar, the tables for the bread of presence, the lampstands and their lamps of solid gold to burn in front of the most holy place as prescribed, the flower decorations, lamps, and tongs, all of purest gold, the lamp snuffers, bowls, ladles, and incense burners, all of solid gold, the doors for the entrance to the most holy place, and the main room of the temple overlaid with gold. Whew. All right, what am I hitting? Stop. That's it for May 22nd. I can't see any comments. Facebook is being stupid today. All right, you guys. That's it for Treadmill Devotions today. Sorry I'm so late. I am going to run to the store. And then, yeah, it is the world's best bathtub, that's right. I'm going to run to the store real quick, and I'm going to get a couple ingredients because my goal today is to make Chinese takeout for lunch. So I have some prep to do for that. So it's going to be a little bit closer to lunchtime I don't even know what time it is. I have no idea what time it is right now, but whatever time it is, it's going to be later than that. I'm thinking probably at least an hour and a half before I have my stuff together. I have to run and I'm going to get some crab for crab rangoons. I'm going to get some pork for egg rolls. Yeah, it's going to be delicious. So, all right, you guys, thank you for joining me this morning, and hopefully I'll see you later if all goes well. If you don't see me on for Chinese takeout, it's because all didn't go well. Just assume it didn't work out, but it should. All right, you guys, I love you all. Have a blessed Saturday if I don't see you for lunch, and I will see you again tomorrow for more Treadmill Devotions. Have a blessed day. I love you guys. Bye.